Play It Forward today with David B. Jacobs, filmmaker, writer, director. David, thank you for being on the show. We've got short film pillow talk. We've got a man sleeping with a succubus who turns out later to be a succubus. It's happened, I'm sure, to many people of all genders. I think the what's the male equivalent of a succubus? Is it incubus or something
An
else?
incubus.
It is an incubus.
Yeah.
Okay,
It was
awesome.
originally gender swapped, so
Oh,
uh take that how you will.
you
Yeah,
mean
I
historically or in your film?
in the film, the original script was a
Oh,
woman being haunted by a man,
oh, is that
and
right?
then I swapped it, and I will let viewers interpret that however they would like to interpret that. I think
Okay,
it's better this way.
okay,
That's my
okay,
opinion.
okay. I like that. Well, irrespective of the gender kind of thing, as human beings, it's a scary thing. It's a scary thing. It's a vulnerable thing. There's also a lust thing that's going into it. So there's so much going on with relation, that kind of level of intimacy. So there's that kind of thematic content to it. Then on top of it, it kind of goes wrong. It looks like, there was some kind of hanging out or party, party, post party, like the after party. Thank you. So something's going on and it all goes horribly wrong. Um that said, the inspiration, the emotional inspiration for this film, where did that live in you?
That is an excellent question, and the answer is somewhere in my subconscious
Love it.
because this was actually, I really hope this doesn't sound super pretentious, but this was a nightmare that I had. It was like in the middle of COVID, I think, when I wrote it, and I was trying to get to sleep, and all these images kind of played through my brain, and it was like 4 o'clock in the morning because I have insomnia. And I said, okay, let me just write this down real fast. And then I wrote it down. Then I said, okay, now I'm going to sleep. And then I woke up the next morning. I read it back and I said, I don't know what that is, but I like it. And I think I can film this and let me do that.
Well, I love it. I mean, I think, personally that the best ideas come from that mysterious place in us. It has to come in us. And that's the point. You got to explore that to reconcile, well,
Yeah,
what's going on as a human here. And then, chances are, and 10 out of 10 times, other humans are dealing with that same struggle. So,
exactly.
you've got, on in terms of analyzing the narrative, right, from, the plot line and story structure, it's kind of like, all right, well, you've got these feelings of desire, right? We've got that
Yep.
human instinct to procreate or mate. And then you've got the um really what amounts to a kind of a betrayal in
Hmm.
the film.
Hmm.
You whether it's a selfish kind of desire to mate, or whether it's a desire for intimacy, or whether it's just confused. If there's no love, it's typically lust. Both are the best. But that said, there's ultimately that kind of sinister kind of betrayal, and then it's the question as well, is it a self-betrayal? Is there something else going on? So it does bring us into, I know you're smiling because you're waiting for the question. The question is, what do you as a viewer take away? What did you learn from the
I
film?
love everything you just said. I love all of that. That was so I haven't heard anyone like get really deep into what the movie actually means, and it was just very exciting to hear you describing all of that.
Thanks.
Um, yeah. I've heard like some interpretation of festivals and whatnot, but always usually a lot briefer. Uh, I don't want to give too much of the literal of what's happening, although I love that you called her a succubus. That makes me happy. But in terms of what it is for me, I think that a lot of it is about shame. And specifically, it's like this sort of invisible sense of shame. It's a thing that it's the kind of shame that you hide, that people don't see during the day, that you present as a normal person, you maybe drink a little too much, have a little bit too much sex, but there's something else going on that only you are aware of that creeps up in the middle of the night. That's why she's only appears when he's making contact with the bed, because when he's in his bed, there's nothing to distract him. Once he gets out, she is still there. She is still a presence that can hurt him, but she is no longer visible.
Mm-hmm.
That's my analysis. That's what I get
That's
out of it.
awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. I think it lends so much to um, my experience of the film. That's why
Mm,
it's a fun thing to talk to people who create what they do. Because that element of shame is so prevalent, whether you mentioned drink too much, have sex too much, you present a certain way that's socially acceptable, and you get
yeah.
social approbation for, but it's not really kind of socially acceptable to say, hey, I really do a lot of this at night,
Yeah.
and it looks like XYZ, and it's sex, maybe it's another person, maybe it's me, myself, and who knows what it
Yeah.
is, but it can be embarrassing. And
We know something happened. Like we look at it, we can see something is going through his brain when he sees her. There is this moment of recognition, which I think is very important because why does he recognize her? Isn't she some demon? Is she a phantom, a ghost? What is she? And it's just it I wanted to give the idea of a backstory. I have my own ideas of what that backstory is, but I just wanted to sort of hint at it and make you think about it and make you question what brought him here, what led to this place where he is fighting this demon, the succubus. I love succubus.
and is haunted by her, essentially.
Yes,
Yeah. Uh,
yes.
there's that moment, and I don't recall the moment if he's on or out of the bed. I think he's in the bed, and he pulls out that feather
From his stomach.
from his stomach.
That time he's actually out of the bed.
He's out of the bed.
That's
Okay,
in his death spiral.
he's
Are
out of
we
the
allowed to
bed.
spoil? Should I be spoiling? I shouldn't be
I don't think it
spoiling.
spoils it. I think it just heightens the interest because we're posting the trailer or we're posting the full video. It's online for people to
The
see.
video is online right now. You can watch the
Awesome.
movie. It's on
Awesome.
YouTube.
Cool. We'll
Should have
share the
just
link.
released at the beginning of this interview. Yep.
Oh,
I will
awesome.
have the link. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I think it makes it more interesting, personally. So yes, spoil away if it's cool with you.
Mm, I want to keep a little bit of mystery.
I think that's
Yeah.
good. Okay. So we'll just leave it at, I think that that kind of really, because in between, before you're kind of the lines are blurring, you're not sure what's real, what's not, and then you've got that moment where there is something that has
Yeah.
cut, has penetrated, has done
Because it
something.
is real. Even
Yeah,
if you deny it, it is still real.
it's
It's there
happening.
is she is still real.
Right,
Yeah. I don't think it's in his head. Obviously, I guess people can interpret it that way if they want. I personally don't usually like interpretations where it's all in their head.
right.
So that's not how I'm seeing it.
It's a very well done film. The
Thank
lighting,
you.
technical execution is
Thank you.
all on point, highly professional. Between all the work that you've put into it in terms of the creative, in terms of the technical side, in terms of working, across the all the range of, pre, post production stuff, um, how have you been changed as a person by the process?
So I'm a big horror fan. I have like a horror podcast called Cadaver Dogs where we analyze horror
Ah,
movies and get deep
ah,
into their themes and
awesome.
all
I'm
of
talking
that.
to the right
So
guy. We'll have to throw a
I
link to that as
love
well.
horror.
Awesome.
Um, But before this movie, I had made horror comedies, but I had never really made a straight up horror movie. And that was part of what I wanted to take away from this was to dive into that like lights out kind of territory. Just obviously very lights out inspired. Um, and when we were in pre-production and production, I was so worried that everything would go wrong. Like I had backup plans for everything. I was like, what if this sheet gag where it wraps around his leg, what if that doesn't work? What do we do instead? Uh,
Wow, you were
on
prepared.
set, we got to the part where in the script it says like she churns around and she's shaking and it's scary or something like that. And I
Well
went to
written.
Amber. Thank you very much. I'm very poetic, I think.
Yeah.
So I just turned to Amber, the actor who plays the demon, who is an amazing actor who I've worked with before. She's also really funny, and she's also a dancer, and that's why I thought of her for the role because
Mm,
similar movies have used dancers of different styles
mm,
to allow for that kind of weird physical movement.
mm.
But in this moment, I just turned to her and I'm like, I'm really sorry. I wrote that you churn around and it's scary somehow, and I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And Amber was just like, I got this. And just
Yeah.
watching her go at it was so hypnotizing.
That's awesome.
And I just honestly, my takeaway, what I learned is that all of this is doable, that you can go big. People have done this stuff before, so obviously it is possible, and we can do it too.
I love it. That's for sure. You know, one of the things that I really appreciate in the example, the anecdote that you just described is the honesty. And I
Mm,
think one of the reasons you got such a great response from, you know, your fellow co-creator, your actor, is that you were just like, shit, this is not good. What can you do here? I'm sorry, you know? And that level of honesty as a director is it embraces people to want to step up. I got you. I mean, she said, I got you. I'm a pro. I know what to do here. I see the
hmm
vision because I'm in the moment. And that's how the collaborative process works. You know, so often new people coming out, we're like, you know, I don't want to show anybody what I don't know. It's scary. They're going to think I'm an amateur, blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah. So you don't have an honest dialogue. And when you can just cut through all that and just tell it like it is, you get the truth.
you need to get the right collaborators and then trust them. Like
Yeah.
the other actor, Leo, usually works as a stunt actor. And because of that, he was able to do all of these more physically challenging
Oh,
things that they're
wow.
not major stunts, but it allowed us to get away with a little bit more. Uh, we had my DP, Dan Rodriguez. I I just let him light whatever he wanted to light.
Yeah. You did great.
Yeah,
Oh,
my editor JR, he was amazing. Like everyone just brought what they could do to the table, and I love to just create the creative space where people are able to do what they do. And I still have strong opinions about everything,
of
but
course.
I definitely annoy them a lot with my like super nitpickiness, but it's really all them.
Well, that's, you know, a great, I think, you know, follow-up question, and that is, how did you align to work with the people that you do in a way that,
Mm.
you know, you're repeatingly or repeatedly, maybe some you work for the first time, but you're working with the people you trust. And, you know, that's critical on a set.
Yeah, it really is as simple as if you work well with someone, then you just bring them back. Like you can never really predict how you're going to work with someone. And sometimes they don't want to come back. Sometimes they're like, I'm on to much bigger things now. I'm off shooting a feature or whatever. And then it's like, okay. Uh, but yeah, a lot of these people I'd worked with on other things. I also am a crew member myself. I'm a script supervisor, so I've done a lot through that, and a lot of the people I've met have come through that and being like, "Oh, I really like what you brought to this set that we worked on together. Can you come onto my set for almost no money and do that here?"
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's perfect. I mean, you tell people, you know, you tell them what you want and what they do, they can do, and
Yeah.
if you know, it's great. Um, David B. Jacobs, writer, director, filmmaker. We're going to throw out the link to Pillow Talk. I think people, you know, are going to enjoy it. Check it out, Pillow Talk, and we will the link to your podcast as well.
Yeah, sure
For
thing.
sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For those horror fans. And there's quite a few horror fans, as you know, out there. So,
Oh
um,
yeah.
yeah. All right. We are out on Play It Forward. Later, David. Thank you
Thank you so
again for being
much.
on the show. Peace, and till next time.